Hello and welcome back to Buckle Up. I'm Harry King and this is a Hyundai Santa Fe. Okay, so for once we're not actually going to start this review at the front of the vehicle, but I want to start this review with the key, because this isn't just any key, this is a special key. If you take a look at all of those buttons, there's extra ones that you wouldn't usually have. So watch this. So weirdly, I'll start by locking the car, and then if I press and hold this button, what should happen is the car will start. There you go, look, car started. And then I hold another button, and watch this. It drives without me in it. There's no one in that car, there's no one there, you can see through the window. So it's just me and the key, and I can hold it again, and it should then come back to where it was, hopefully. Which is about there. All done from the key. That's pretty cool, isn't it? You can take your car for walkies. Right, now to the front. So now we're here. Let's talk through it. You have this lovely large grille with this really rather interesting pattern on it, and it is a real grille, and it's all a real grille. None of this is blanked out. Even the lower bits here are actually taking air into the engine bay, which is slightly odd because this does only have a 1.6, but if Hyundai have deemed that they need that much air, then they have, and I prefer this over having a fake grille. There's a nice large badge. I can't actually spot where the radar is for all of the, cruise gubbins, which usually they put some of the, manufacturers put it in the badge. I can't see it here. They've really craftily hidden that. Then you've got these lights at the side, which I really rather like. So actually your main lights are here, and these are your daytime running lights, but these give the appearance of sort of really sleek headlights, give it quite a good look at the front, I think. But then these are actually nice and big and provide you with a lot of light at night. The lights on this are amazing. The other thing, the elephant in the room, it's quite wide. See, it's quite a wide car from here. Obviously it's a 7-seater, so it would be, but it's quite wide. Let's also see if it's quite long. Yes, it is rather long at the side as well. But there are a lot of nice features here too. So there's these large 19-inch alloy wheels. They're very lovely. I like the design of them. Good sized door mirrors, great for reversing. Door handles, weird place to stop. Fairly standard looking door handles, but one little button there, keyless entry. Standard stuff. But also at night, these are illuminated, so you can find them in the dark. And moving back, we have a fuel filler cap, except we don't. This is actually where you put in the electricity. The fuel goes in on the other side, in the exact same place, mirrored, but weirdly, this is open as long as the car is unlocked. On the other side, you have to press a button on the interior to open it, which is just slightly inconsistent. To the boot. So now we're here at the back. There's a few more features to mention. Number one, this light bar, which is very in vogue at the moment. Not actually a light, just a sort of reflective piece, but it looks good. There's this lower diffuser area with the silver piece, and I think these shapes are supposed to give the suggestion of exhausts, but actually the real exhaust, wherever it is concealed. So lovely badge, nice little sunshine on it for the Santa Fe. Big fan of that, and it's plug-in. Also very bluff, which some people don't like, but I quite like it because it gives you a lot of boot space. And speaking of boot space, let's open it up. So it opens from the button, or from the key, or from a button on the interior. It's a very large boot, 570 litres. That doesn't actually mean a lot to a lot of people, but it's bigger than you need. These are the charging cables. They're quite big and bulky, and there is nowhere to store them other than just sort of in the boot, which is fine when you're in 5-seater mode, but it might be a bit space consumptive if you've got all 7 seats up. But for now, I shall pop these out of the way, and I shall also take out the rear parcel shelf, which is very easy. It's nice and light, and it just pops in at both ends and then slides out. But again, same problem. There's no underfloor storage. There's only this. And it literally just has a jack and a tyre iron in it, nothing else. So this also has to stay at home if you want to put all 7 seats up. But before I put all the seats up, I wanted to show you how you can put all the seats down. It's quite handy, isn't it? And then you've got over 1,600 litres of space. Or, like, I don't know, enough room to sort of camp in here, I guess. Sit under the sunroof, look at the stars. Up to you. The only problem is, of course, those buttons do not raise the seats again. So now I'm going to have to go round and raise everything manually. And now you have a very practical 7-seater vehicle for all of the family to go in. Let's hop in those seats. So access to the third row is really best done from this side, because on this side you have this fancy little button on top of here that does this. How good is that? So that goes out of the way there, and then probably if you fold down those seats there, so you can see what's going on. But I'll clamber through. Try not to stand up into the roof. Get back into these seats. So, well, that's a good question. How do I? There. That sort of works. So that's where someone would sit in it comfortably, and I can just about fit my knees in. And I would be okay on headroom, but really this would be more for children than adults. Certainly wouldn't be comfortable here for more than an hour. But in terms of provisions for the third row, they're actually really very good. So you have an entire air conditioning section here with controls. You've got a 12-volt socket, you've got cup holders, you've got little pockets on both sides, and air vents. The only things is that the windows don't open, but if you've got aircon back here, you don't need opening windows. Luxury. God, children don't even know they're born, do they? Right, into the middle row. So now we're in the middle row, and you might be looking at this and thinking, oh no, it looks a bit cramped. This seat is actually in a position where I would be comfortable, and right now knee room is a bit tight. But don't fear, for these seats move. And suddenly, it's like being in a limousine. But that is not all. Watch this. Just chilling out, maxing, relaxing. Well, now you've seen that it's a very comfortable place to sit, let's talk about practicality. There are Isofix on these rear seats. There's also Isofix on this front passenger seat. That's about right. You have the usual center cup holder thing going on, but no ski hatch. These outer seats are heated. Heated rear seats. Who am I, the Queen? Nice big door back, nice big seat back pockets. You've got 2 USB ports down here in the back of the center console, as well as some air vents. That's fairly standard. Your seat heater controls are here on the door by your window controls. You also have integrated sunshades. So that's quite good. If you have someone who's light sensitive in the vehicle, you can help them. And also this amazing sunroof. It goes all the way back to here. So the second row, full sunroof for the second row. It's amazing. I'm astounded. You know, I've been in the back seats of quite a lot of, of luxury vehicles that haven't been as nice as this. Let's see if the front seats are as good. So we move here to the front, where the theme of surprising luxury continues. So these seats are lovely. They've actually got diamond stitching on like you'd find on an Audi, which is, well, I mean, what more could you ask for? There's this big center console, and it looks like a lot of buttons on it, but actually this is all the buttons, and they're really rather sensibly laid out. So top is everything that controls this. Middle is physical AC controls. Take note, Volkswagen. And then down here is all your driving stuff, with your seat heater buttons below it. You've got standard steering wheel controls, cruise control on the right and driver assist, and then infotainment controls on the left. Weirdly, this has paddle shifters, which I haven't had cause to use really. It's got a DSG gearbox though, so if you fancy it, and just normal stalks. Plenty of storage. There is a nice little bit of storage here, which has a cup holder in it. That's where I put chewing gum. That's also where the USB is for the linking to Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. Then you also, as you can see, have another cup holder here, and a little slot where you can put things like phones. A large centre storage bin. It's quite deep, and it has this little tray in it for separation. That's quite handy. There's also good sized door pockets. They also have a cutout for a bottle in them, and a nice large glove box, although it is filled by a rather meaty owner's manual. It's like a King James Bible, that. You also may have noticed there is this storage area underneath the centre console, which is ideal for things like handbags, and it also has a 12-volt socket in there for anything you have from vehicles, and just a normal USB type A. For me, the best bit of this is this job. You open up the sunshade and you think, well, that's lovely, but what? What if I want some more fresh air? Then you open the sunroof, and it opens. Look, my hands are out the top of the car. That's great, and really nice on a warm day like today. Infotainment-wise, you have this screen here, and then an even larger screen, digital gauge cluster, which displays all of the regular stuff, but it's got some quite funky animations for the different drive modes. You also have traction modes. This will not go as far off-road as a hardcore off-roader, but that will help, you know, if you happen to be in a muddy field at a festival or something like that, that will help you out a little bit. So here's a feature I really like in the cabin for driving. When you go to reverse, you get this screen, which is on this side, you've got a regular reversing camera, but on this side, you have a full surround view camera, which is composed of 4 cameras around the car, and it gives you, I mean, it's like playing a video game. You just slot in the car on the screen between the lines, and then you look outside and you parked. It's brilliant. But actually, I think the best thing to talk about the rest of the controls and how they work, we should do that on the move. So let's get driving. Okay, so driving the Hyundai Santa Fe. First things first, in, you know, modern luxury car terms, this is right up there with the rest, because in here it is a tech fest. It's easier to sort of go through the infotainment and what things do while I'm moving, rather than doing it in a sort of boring way while we're sitting still. But I'll start. I have a million menus on this screen. It's a full TFT 11 point something inch display, but it's got a meter for my attention level. It just tells me what the speed limit is all the time, or it'll tell me if my driver assist systems are prepped and ready to go. Next one along gives you your range, gives you your drive information. It's like trip computer stuff, all of that. And then you go again, you've got a compass, because why not? Who doesn't like a compass? Everyone loves a compass. And you also have an engine temperature gauge, which, as far as I can work out, is actually accurate. I'm not sure why you would need an engine temperature gauge in a car like this, so I can't imagine you're going to go and use it on track, but it's there if you want it. You also have these great big dials, and obviously if you change drive modes, you get the full animations with them as well. You may have just heard, when you switch into sport, obviously the engine kicks on, but at the moment, while I'm in just driving normally, I am mostly driving on just electric power. Fully charged, this car is telling me it has about 28 miles of range electric. That does seem to be reflected in the real world as well. And then it has sort of 300 and something miles on a full tank. Add those two together, you get your final range. So the more techie features, now we're on a slightly wider road. It's got steering assist. So obviously I have to keep my hands on the wheel, but it will steer around this corner in front of us, for example, by itself there. So I'm not actually inputting anything on the steering wheel, it's decided to go around that corner. And it's got radar cruise, sort of your standard radar cruise. So I can turn that on and set it to 50 miles an hour, which is the speed limit. It'll catch up to that car there. We are actually coming up to 40, so I'll bring it down there. That's the car steering again now. So I'll bring it back down to 40 now. Now we're entering a 40, and look, no hands, Mum. it just does it all by itself. What more could you want? I've done some long motorway journeys in this car while I've had it, and honestly, it's like I haven't driven. There's absolutely no mental capacity needed to drive long distances in this car. It's honestly astounding. Talk about the more normal driving stuff, shall we? Steering weight depends on the mode, actually, but it's not poorly judged. It seems well judged. It's an electric system, as most modern systems are. So there's not a huge amount of feel, but you wouldn't expect there to be in a car like this, and you can tell where it is and place it on the road. The brakes are good. They're very progressive. The throttle, I think because of the hybrid system, and also especially when you're driving in eco mode, the kick between just using electric power and everything on is slightly odd. So sometimes you put your foot down and you move away sort of quite slowly. Sometimes you put your foot down and everything kicks on, and suddenly you go, whoa, and you throw it back in your seat. Again, something I think you would get used to over time, how to judge that and modulate it. But it isn't just, as natural as just having one power source, like just having the electric motor or just having the internal combustion engine.
Speaking of propulsion, let's give you the figures. So the engine and the motors combined give you 265 metric horsepower and 350 newton meters of torque. 0 to 100 kph or 62 miles an hour is dispatched in 8.8 seconds, which may not sound that quick, but for a 2-ton SUV, feels pretty rapid in the real world.
The seats are very good. They're heated and ventilated, fully electric. They've got lumbar support. I can really adjust them anywhere I want. The steering wheel as well. It's manual adjustment, but it is plenty of adjustment. And then everything is in your eye line that you'd want. You've got a nice big rearview mirror. You can see out of the back very well. You've got nice big door mirrors. You can see out of them very well as well. And you have blind spot monitoring. And you have Hyundai's nifty little feature where these dials, when you're indicating, I don't know if you can see this on this camera, but look, a little screen comes up and shows you what's in your blind spot. So I don't understand how you could ever possibly miss something in this car. Other than, exceptional circumstances, but it's certainly very good on the visibility front. Handling and performance. What's it like on the limit? Well, it is a 2-ton SUV with 3 rows in it. You're not going to be driving it on its door mirrors, but when you do take it through a corner fast, actually there's surprisingly little body roll. So you don't feel sick or anything on a back road. No one's going to feel seasick, for example. But like I said before, the electric steering system, there's not a huge amount of feedback through it, so you can't really tell where the limit of the grip is.
So, fuel economy in the Santa Fe. Obviously, a reason someone might buy a plug-in hybrid is because they're interested in getting good fuel economy. If you keep the battery charged, then it's infinite in theory, because you can just run on electric for those 20 or 30 miles. I did whole round trips, including motorway miles, where I barely used any petrol at all, as long as I was keeping within that range. It works really well. If you're doing a longer journey, I know people worry about plug-in hybrids, that you're just dragging around big heavy batteries once they've run down. But I didn't really feel like that was the case. I did a long journey and I managed to get 40 mpg with the battery as flat as it would go. I can't think of another 2-ton petrol SUV that'll give you 40 mpg, so I wouldn't really be worrying about that.
And now we've interspaced that a little bit, let's get back to the tech fest. So center screen here, you've got all of this stuff. Main one is that button there becomes Android Auto, which is what I've been using the whole time I've used this car. I have had some experience with Hyundai's navigation system. It's perfectly adequate. You have a few other fun things though. You've got passenger talk. So this is it's like a microphone in the front seats, and then it amplifies your voice into the back seats, including the third row. So if you have a car full of squabbling children, then you can give them clear instructions to shut up, or possibly something nicer. I don't have kids, so I don't know. But I think that's quite good. That's a nice feature. for families. Turn that off again. It is slightly weird to hear your own voice coming from the speakers in the back. And you've got like an information screen about how the plug-in hybrid system is working, and you've got a big screen for all your climate controls if you want them, but you do have the physical controls down here, so you don't actually have to go into the screen to change really anything on the climate that you would want. Heated seats are right down here as well, so it's very, very well thought out, I think. Really, I've been really thinking and struggling all week on points that I can, you know, make this a fair review where I actually can offer some, you know, constructive feedback rather than just go, oh, it's amazing. So yeah, one is slightly numb steering, but again, you wouldn't really expect anything else, so it's not really a criticism. I can't think of any other cars in this class designed just for families like this that would have a better steering feel. This center console here, when you have a cable going into it, which I've been doing to have my phone plugged into the USB for Android Auto, doesn't always close every single time, which is odd because they've designed this front one to have the cable go through it and it'll shut, and there's a space for the cable, but then they haven't done the same for the other one. That just seems slightly odd to me, but that's what they've done. And it's quite wide, but that's because it's a big car for 7 people, and it's not like it's huge on the outside and tiny on the inside. The space is carried over to the interior, so these are all justifiable points, really. So hopefully I'm not biased. Who cares? It's the internet. No one thinks I'm a real journalist anyway. Well, I think that's enough of my nattering on, so let's go and do a conclusion. So, the Hyundai Santa Fe. I think it's absolutely brilliant. No, it's not a sports car. It's a family car, and it executes that perfectly and with a surprising amount of luxury. If you're thinking about buying a premium German 7-seater, just take a look at one of these and you might be pleasantly surprised. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Please remember to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. You can also become a channel member, or you can join us on Patreon and support us that way, or you can go to our merch store and buy some fresh threads. That supports us too, and you get some cool clothes in return. Also, down in the description are all of our social media links, so you go follow us on everything, and go and do that, and that'd be brilliant. And I'll see you next time. Bye.